Hey everyone, I'm Teryn Darling from Girls Inc. and welcome to our YouTube channel. This is where artistry meets honesty. We're talking pigments, products, and everything PMU. You'll even find the Tatter-A-Fact podcast here. Whether you've been tattooing for 20 years or you're still finding your rhythm and your way, this channel was built for artists, all artists, who want better results, deeper knowledge, and a thriving career. So if you're here to grow, not just scroll, then you are in the right place. All right, let's head over to the desk and get started. Today we're talking about the real problem of oily skin in PMU and how my new OMG product, D-Oil, is the solution. And the name says it all, D-Oil. And D-Oil is the solution to many pain points that artists have to deal with on the daily, including myself. Oily skin is one of the biggest challenges we deal with as PMU artists. And this one thing, oil, affects numerous aspects of our procedure on multiple different levels. Oily skin affects, well, first and foremost, pigment implantation. Can't have that. And if it's affecting pigment implantation, then it's affecting anesthetic absorption. And you might not have considered that. But if oil acts like a barrier and is affecting pigment implantation and absorbing, then it's affecting anesthetic absorption. Oily skin affects our stretch and our hand grip. Right? Your hands just slipping all over the place. You can't get them anchored. You cannot get a good stretch. You constantly adjusting, moving your fingers here and there and everywhere, and you just can't get a good stretch. And that can cause a lot of issues. Mapping and design. Mapping string and pencils don't go on the skin well or at all. If the skin's oily enough, they smear, they skip. They come off premature, and that can be a problem. We rely on the designs that we draw, to follow during the tattoo procedure. So oil can be a big nuisance when it comes to our designs. And ultimately, oil affects our healed-in results. And our healed-in results, they're everything. We are obsessed with our healed-in results. We are judged by our healed-in results. Clients judge us. The public judges us. Our colleagues in the industry judges us by our healed-in results. But no one judges us harsher than we judge our own selves. So, a solution to oil. I don't know how many times I sat down and my gloves, my hands were just sliding and slipping. And no matter what I did, putting a gauze in between my hand and the skin, readjusting a million times, hands just sliding. I just can't get a good grip. I know you have felt that pain as well. How many of you, well, we've watched our numbing cream beat up on the face rather than absorb. Pigment floating on top of the skin instead of going into the skin when we know we're implanting it in the skin, but it's just not going in. Like we can see it floating on the top or being super diluted. You already know oil isn't just annoying. It's way more than annoying. It interferes with the entire procedure. And anything that interferes with our procedure can interfere with our results. And we already talked about how important those results are to us. So let's get into the science of surface oil versus subsurface oil. This is kind of interesting. And I had to really study and learn and understand this to create D-Oil and have it be super effective and work. there are 2 layers of oil that we're dealing with. The surface oil, and that's the oil visible, like on the outer layer of the skin, right? That visible shine and that we see and the slip that we feel right away when we go to stretch. But then there's the subsurface oil, the oil sitting inside the upper layers of the stratum corneum, where pigment and numbing need to penetrate. But that subsurface oil is a barrier. It acts as a blocker, right? Surface oil, well, that's easy to wipe off, blot, blot, blot. We do that all the time, but it comes right back, blot, 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 but it keeps coming back. But it's easier to deal with, causes problems. But that subsurface oil, that causes big problems. Poor pigment retention, the numbing cream that beads up, patchy healed results, and that constant fight for a solid, taut stretch. So when you combine surface oil and subsurface oil, both working together against you, I mean, that's one hell of a tough team to be up against. And if you're like me, then you're tired of fighting oil. I've been fighting it for 25 years. And it's frustrating, super frustrating. Because if you don't remove both, then you're working against the skin the entire procedure rather than with the skin. You're working against the skin, and that is frustrating. It's exhausting. It's super exhausting. Why the usual products don't fix it? Well, there's witch hazel, and I've used witch hazel for a lot of years. If you've taken my online classes or done any in-person brow training with me, then I talk about witch hazel. And I do use it on my oily clients, but it doesn't reach the subsurface oil. So it worked a little bit. It was a little helpful. It was better than nothing, but it didn't reach the subsurface oil, and it didn't do what I wished it could do. Witch hazel can also be a little too drying all on its own, so you have to be careful not to overuse it. Micellar water, well, that's not a degreaser and leaves a residue on the skin. And then there's alcohol wipes, right? Alcohol strips the skin barrier and actually increases slippage because it strips the skin so hard that it causes the skin to feel an urgency to produce more oil. And so we don't want more oil. We're trying to get rid of the oil. So by addressing the oil problem with alcohol, we're just creating more of a problem. Skincare toners and cleansers, well, they're just not formulated for prepping that oily skin for great pigment implantation and just preparing the skin for a great procedure. None of those procedures were created. None of those products were created for PMU, and none of them remove the oil barrier that affects pigment and numbing implantation and absorption, or the other pain points oil causes. And there's quite a few of them. Artists often blame themselves, or they blame the pigment, sometimes the needle, the machine, but oftentimes themselves, when in many cases, the real issue is the oily skin that they're working on. The issue is the oil. Oily skin needs proper prepping for optimum implantation, execution, and results. And that's exactly why I made D-Oil and spent 2.5 years perfecting it. After 25 years in the chair, working on thousands and thousands and thousands of clients, well over 20,000 clients, and dealing with the same issue, the oil issue, and watching my fellow artists and colleagues struggle with the oil issue, I finally created a product that actually solves the oil problems and struggles, that actually addresses the pain points created by oil that PMU artists deal with. It's a real solution to a whole bunch of problems. And I got the idea based off witch hazel. So de-oil was an idea that came from using witch hazel. And she ended up pretty special, pretty unique, and a first of its kind. De-oil is not skincare, not a cleanser. De-oil is a professional pre-procedure degreaser made specifically for PMU and oily clients by an artist that works on oily skinned clients. So what makes de-oil different? Well, de-oil, it removes surface oil, but it goes deeper than that. It removes the subsurface oil. De-oil doesn't strip, burn, dehydrate, or leave any residue behind. All really important points. De-oil is formulated with witch hazel, but we added ethanol. So witch hazel and ethanol combined dissolves oil on the surface and below to reduce hand slippage and create a clear path for pigment implantation and anesthetic absorption. We added sodium PCA, wheat amino acids, panthenol, hyaluronic acid, and glycerin, all great humectants. And they keep the skin hydrated, soothed, nourished, balanced, and pliable. And that's very, very important because hydrated, pliable skin receives and accepts pigment better, it heals pigment better, and if the skin is hydrated and pliable, less trauma for that type of skin. And that's really, really important. The less trauma, the better our heals. So those humectic, hydrating ingredients balance the powerful lifting, oil lifting and removing of the witch hazel and ethanol combination. De-oil has a pH level of 6, which means it's safe for brows, lips, and eyelids. However, we're not going to probably use it on lips. Lips, really no oil. They're often dry. So de-oil is really going to be used on brows and eyelids for eyeliner procedures. Body tattoos, if you're working, if you do, micro tattoos or body tattoos somewhere on the body and the oil skin, skin's oily. So instead of drying the skin out or leaving it slippery with all that oil acting as a barrier, you get de-oiled skin, cleared and balanced so that skin remains hydrated and you can stretch as taut as needed, and that skin actually takes and receives pigment. Why? Because de-oil removes both the surface and subsurface oil. Surface and subsurface oil, clears it away. And this changes a lot for artists. Once that oil barrier is gone, you get a way better stretch, right? Your hand anchors and you get a way better stretch. No glove slippage. Better stretch, no glove slippage, then you have better needle control. Pigment implants, instead of floating, numbing absorbs instead of beading. Mapping that stays in place and doesn't smear. You have a faster procedure time with less fatigue, better healed results without extra passes. Less passes mean less trauma. Less trauma means better heals. The less trauma we cause, the better our heals. And I think sometimes with oily skin, we can overwork without realizing it because we're fighting that oil, trying to get the pigment in, and that can cause us to do more passes. And ultimately, that can cause more trauma. So de-oil addresses all those pain points, all those struggles, and all those issues that we've been dealing with for a really long time. We no longer have to fight the oil. And you actually may start enjoying tattooing oily skin. No more complaining about it and being frustrated by it. That's where I got. I would get so frustrated that it would make that procedure not enjoyable. Yet I loved that particular client. And so I felt bad. I felt guilty for not enjoying the procedure. And, we want to enjoy our procedures. This is what we chose to do. It's what we love to do. But, sometimes with that oil, it can cause so much struggle and frustration that it can cause us not to enjoy our procedure. So how do you use de-oil? Well, brows and eyeliner or any oily area, like I said. So with the brows, you're just going to take de-oil and you're going to dampen a couple of lint-free cotton pads or gauze pads, whatever you use. And once you clean the skin, remove the makeup, clean the skin, you're going to take those cotton pads dampened with de-oil and you're going to let them sit on the brow area. Just sit for 30 to 90 seconds. Whether it's 30, 60, or 90 seconds, all depends on just how oily that skin is. Then you're going to wipe or blot the excess off. You don't need to clean it off. You just need to wipe or blot the excess off. And then apply your numbing cream and proceed with your procedure. Now, after removing the numbing cream, you may want to apply de-oil again if that client is like super duper oily. You can do a second soak for 30 to 90 seconds. So don't throw away those original cotton pads that you used the first time. Keep them aside on your tray and keep them handy just in case you do want to use them again after removing your numbing cream. And they might be damp enough that you don't need to apply, redampen with de-oil, or you might have to add a few more drops to each cotton round. Let them sit again for another 30 to 90 seconds. Wipe, blot, and continue on. Now with the eyelids, yes, it is safe. De-oil is safe for the eyelids, but just like everything else we use around the eyes, anesthetic, the lift saline solution, anything we use around the eyelids, even though it's safe for the eyes, it has a pH balance of 6, you have to use it responsibly. So use a Q-tip, and I don't mean a drippy, wet Q-tip, and you don't want to flood the area where de-oil is just dripping down and, just making a puddle in the lash line. Don't do that. But you do want to get enough de-oil on the eyelid or the area you're going to be tattooing the eyeliner to where you can see it. It's moist, right? It's wet and it's moistened with de-oil. And let it sit 15 to 30 seconds, a shorter sit time, because eyelid skin is thinner and it absorbs faster. So there's a shorter sit time, 15 to 30 seconds. Then blot off and continue with your procedure. Again, you can reapply de-oil after removing the numbing cream if they are super duper oily. But again, 15 to 30 seconds. And Yeah, and then that should do it. After applying de-oil and removing it, you will experience less oil and oil production for approximately 20 to 40 minutes. And that just depends on how oily that skin is, how thick the skin is, and other variables. You know, there's always variables to the effectiveness of a product, how long something's going to last, you know, just like how long a pair of eyebrows are going to last. Just, you know, there's lots of different variables. Same with de-oil. But roughly, we're finding 20 to 40 minutes, you're going to experience less oil production. So one of the bonuses with de-oil is a hand anchor. Good hand anchor de-oil provides. There's places on the face that I call hand anchor areas. And it's the forehead, the temple, and the cheek. And this is where most artists tend to rest their hands. Our stretch may all look a little different from each other, but we all tend to rest our hands on the forehead, temples, and the cheeks. That's where we anchor our hand. Those are hand anchor areas. So, a little bonus. Take de-oil and swipe the forehead, the temple, and the cheeks area. Let it sit there for a little bit, blot off, and boom, great stretch. Great stretch. Wherever your glove tends to rest, you can swipe it with de-oil and improve your stretch. No slip, tighter stretch, better control. And when we have better control, we have better precision. And when we have better control and precision, we feel confident and we just do better work. So during the procedure, the forehead, the temple, and the cheeks, you can re-swipe those areas during the procedure to keep them de-oiled, for lack of a better word. You may have to with, you know, a really oily client, and if you tend to work slower, you can re-swipe the forehead, temples, and cheeks to keep those areas free from oil, dry from oil, and keep your stretch good. Okay? Great little bonus. Mapping. Use before mapping. Whether you use a pencil or mapping string, and if you're using it on the brows, then you are using it before you map. So your pencil and your mapping string, you're going to find it goes on the way it should. And it's just not going to skip and smear at all. And your design's going to be more definitive. You're going to have nice, clear, definitive edges, and your design is going to stay on and not smear off as quickly once you start the procedure. So there are, look at all those pain points that this one little solution addresses. That's quite a bit. Better pigment implantation, better anesthetic absorption, better grip, and you can swipe, don't forget, swipe the forehead, cheeks, and temples for good hand anchor, good grip, less slippage, mapping and design. Your pencils and strings are going to go on a whole lot better and stay on a little longer once you start the procedure. Those are all struggles and pain points that we've been dealing with for a long time. And now there is a solution that can help you with those pain points. So, after years and years and years of facing the same struggles you face, I am beyond excited to finally have de-oil done, ready, and able to share it with you. I'm really super proud of it. And I think it's going to make a big difference in your work, a huge difference in your work. It was made to support me, you, and all PMU artists. It was made to support our craft and the incredible work we create every single day. It was made to address those pain points that can cause a lot of frustration, a lot of struggle, and cause our results. So D-Oil, we priced it at $16.50, and it's available at girlsinc.com, and anyone else carrying, other distributors carrying the OMG products. And I can't wait for you to get yours and let me know how wonderful it is and how much better working on oily skin is for you. I want to thank you for your trust and your support. It means the world to me. I have no words. I can only say thank you. Thank you very much. And now I'm going to end this product tutorial in a way that it deserves, a little cheesy. No oil, no slip, no problem. D-Oil. Well, thank you for hanging out with me here on the Girls Inc. channel. If this helped you think, learn, or level up in any way, make sure you hit subscribe so you don't miss what's coming next. And pass it on to another artist who could use it too. The industry gets better when we get better. Keep learning, keep pushing, and keep building the career you want and you deserve. And whenever you need support, education, or the right tools in your hand, well, Girls Inc., we're here for you. I'll see you in the next video.